Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the autopilot on X-Plane 11 on the default 737-800. Now the autopilot for this plane is actually very easy. So this is basically your autopilot panel. It may seem confusing at first, but it's really easy to use. So I'm just going to move over to the side right now. There we go. So I'm going to be taking off, but before I take off, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can change it to whatever you want. So before takeoff, you see these two things. They're called flight directors. Before takeoff, you want to make sure both of them are turned on. If they're not turned on, this will not work. You also want to turn on your auto throttle. So before takeoff, make sure you have all those three things turned on. Now, your speed can be set by using this knob right here. So if you guys don't know knots, you can switch it to this, like the Mac, and get it. So if I'm going to be cruising at 250 knots, you just want to go ahead and change it to 250. So this is the thing that changes your speed. This is your heading. So after takeoff, sometimes if you're flying on VATSIM, ATC will tell you fly runway heading. So that means after takeoff, you want to fly the heading that the runway is on, so you can just take off straight. So as you can see down here, this is my heading where it says 071. But here, this is not correct. This is 265. So I'm going to go ahead and change that and change it to 071 if ATC tells me to take off with the runway heading. This is your altitude. So your altitude, if I'm going to be cruising at, for example, 30,000, you want to go ahead and switch that to 30,000. So this is very easy. It's just to choose your altitude. Vertical speed. Now this might seem a little bit confusing, and it does not have to do. It doesn't have to do anything with speed. What it is basically the rate that your airplane is descending at or climbing at. So usually when you're descending, you're usually gonna want to descend about 800 feet per minute. So before my descent, I would set my altitude to whatever I need to descend to. Imagine I'm descending to 7,000. I want to go ahead and change that to 7,000, like that. And my vertical speed would be about 800 feet per minute. Now, if ATC tells you you're too high, they'll probably tell you what vertical speed to descend at. So if they don't, just ask them. They'll tell you anything. So that is the rate of climb. So this would be for descent, where it shows negative. I would descend at this rate, 700 feet per minute. If I want to climb, I would set it to, for example, 1,400 feet per minute. That's usually what I use after takeoff. So this is basically the way the airplane descends or gets high, or like climbs. Now you've set everything. Actually, let me put that back to 30,000. Actually, I'll just put it at 20,000 because this is a test. So 20,000. My speed is going to be 250 knots. My heading, I'm not really going to mess with that because usually I don't understand the heading for the runway, so I'm not going to mess with that. Altitude's going to be 20,000. This is just a test, so that's why. Now your course is also it's basically you want to set your course when you're landing on ILS or even when you're taking off. I think I'm pretty sure you have to set it for taking off. I'm not sure, but I'm almost positive. It's basically your heading as well, so it doesn't change to that heading. It's just so for ILS, if you do have ILS turned on, it gets you aligned. So it's basically 071. I'm not doing ILS because you can't do an ILS takeoff, but that's what it basically is. This is your autopilot right here. It's actually what you need to turn on. So this is autopilot A and autopilot B. These, don't worry about these. Just worry about the top two. Now, if I turn on autopilot A, for example, or 1, if I want to disengage it, like if I'm approaching the runway, right, and I want to manually land it, You just do this and it disengages it. You'll get an alert, but just put it back up and that's fine. So that's basically it. And I'm going to be taking off for you guys so you can just see how it works. So let me just set flaps real quick. Okay, I'm going to about 10 flaps. This plane, you don't really need that much flaps to take off. Vertical speed before takeoff, don't worry about setting it. Just put it to 0 and it should be black like this. So make sure you have flight director 1, flight director 2, auto throttle. And I don't really have any flight that's planned with waypoints, so I can't turn this on. But I'll just take off for you guys real quick. So I'll make sure that's working. Okay. I'm just going to put toga. Release brakes. I'm going to get some power here. Also, a quick tip, with this plane, usually take off at about 130 to 140 knots. It really depends on your weight. You might even take off at 160 if you're really heavy, but it's usually 130, so I'm going to try and take off at 130. Like I said, I didn't set anything up, so it won't tell me V1 and V2, so I'm going to rotate about now. So now we're up in the air. Let's put gear up. So as soon as I get up in the air, what I do is I turn on the speed. I would turn on LNAV, but I don't have any route, so I'm not going to. And then when you press autopilot, it puts you down like that. Just do that, and then set your vertical speed. So I have speed set, autopilot, then I turn on vertical speed to about, say, 1,400 would be good. It's climbing to 20,000 right now. Also, there's this thing you can set. It's called level change, and this will just climb or descend at a rate it thinks is good, and it will also manage your speed. So that's really it. It's really easy to use. I'll show you guys what level change does, and I'll show you guys how it climbs. So as you can see here, it's not climbing that much. It's gonna put some speed. It might go over 250, even though I'm under 10,000. It's not that big of a problem. If you go a little bit over 250, it's not that big. But now it's gonna start climbing again. And as you can see, this vertical speed is, I set something, but I never pressed it. So now the plane's climbing by itself, and it's climbing at a rate it thinks is good. So it also switches to N1, and that just automatically sets the speed as well. So if I had a route, I would set LNAV right here. It climbs very brutally sometimes. It's going to go super brutal. But I will turn on LNAV so my plane can follow the waypoints. And yeah, why am I climbing so brutally? It does this, you can see that's kind of a brutal climb, but that's fine. And yeah, that's basically it. If I want to change my heading, so I want to go to, like the ATC tells me to turn to heading 150. I'll switch this to 150 and press heading selector. Now you can see my plane's gonna turn to the right. If the ATC tells you turn left, of course I would go the other way. I would decrease it to the other way and go to 150. If you guys can see right here, if I choose 10, it just you can turn more like brutally. You can change the angle. So I usually set it at the middle. If I need to make a really fast turn, I'd put it to almost max, and just the angle that it banks at. So that's what that does. That's really it. You can do, actually no, I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm going to do it in another video on how to do an ILS, and in ILS use these two buttons, VOR lock and APP. But that's really it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.